Hello, sweet yogis. Welcome to your practice today. The class that I have designed for you is a yin yoga for anxiety. As a lot of you know, I began my yoga journey to help with anxiety and PTSD. I began practicing meditation before yoga, and meditation was the time that I felt at peace to release some of the anxiety. And I started that journey in Tacoma, Washington at a little place called Crystal Voyage. And during that time, I had gotten these cards, and I found these going through some stuff earlier this week, and I wanted to share them with you. I love to have oracle cards and just get insight from them. The one that I've been working with for a while now is the Ganesh cards, and have felt connected with those for a while. But I was excited to find these and to pull them out and look at them. They are called Universal Laws of Conscious Creation, and that was a big part of my journey in 2008 to, I would say, about 2012, just working on conscious creation, manifesting, and just turning thoughts into things. This deck really resonates with me, and one thing that I noticed when I pulled them out today that I'd never noticed before is it says, take what you learn and make a difference with it. That really resonated with me because, these are cards that I worked with from 2008 in that time period, working on manifesting and working on also just managing anxiety and managing PTSD through meditation and more natural routes, food, meditation, my yoga practice. And I love these cards. They have beautiful different sacred symbols on them and pictures. So I thought I would draw one today, and we could maybe focus on that as we go through our practice. The backside is also some sacred geometry on them. And it accompanies a little book, and within the book it has a passage of what the card means and how to use that. So you typically just shuffle them. If you need to clear a deck ever, just tap on it 3 times, very lightly. It doesn't take a lot. And in the metaphysical world, we believe that helps to cleanse the energy out of the cards. Also, using sage to clear the cards and the space is great as well. All right, so the card that I've drawn today is 31, and it is the universal law of manifestation. So it's this beautiful green. It almost looks like a green rose, and the heart chakra is what comes to mind with this card. When I see it, it looks like a beautiful green rose, which the heart chakra is love, and also the color green. The number is 31, and that's the universal law of manifestation. So when you have your oracle card, you just pull out the book and you turn to that number. I'm not going to read you the whole of it. I'm just going to read you how to harmonize with this law. So the universal law of manifestation says, contemplate the sheer magnificence in a single snowflake. If the universe can create such precise geometry and beauty in a single flake of snow, surely you can trust it to orchestrate the events of your life with as much precision and perfection. I'm going to read that to you one more time. If you want, you can find your comfortable seated position, close your eyes, and really just take in the words as I read them to you. I'll give you some silent time to connect with those words and connect with the universal law of manifestation. I think it's, it's just, of course, I drew the law of manifestation because that's what we were talking about. I didn't plan to draw that card, but it could have been so many other cards. But I was talking about manifestation. There's cards of abundance and reciprocity, which is great, essence. But I think it's amazing and so timely that we drew the card of manifestation because I just talked about that. So go ahead and close your eyes and just tune in, connecting with your breath. Once again, the universal law of manifestation and how to harmonize with this law. Contemplate the sheer magnificence of a single snowflake. If the universe can create such a precise geometry and beauty in a single flake of snow, surely you can trust it to orchestrate the events of your life with as much precision and perfection. And 3 more breaths here. We'll move into our first pose. Start to open your eyes. Our first pose for this practice is a butterfly. We're finding our Baddha Konasana. Have your feet further away from your groin for this specific pose, and there's a lot of things that you can do to make this posture more comfortable. One is, if the ground is hard, you can place a blanket underneath of your ankles, so that you can have a little bit of cushion for you. If you have, just tight hips and this doesn't feel the best on your hips, you can place a bolster underneath of your knees like this, or even some big pillows underneath of your knees like this. One of my favorite ways to come into this posture, top of my legs, and then that just gives you a nice place to land as you come into it. If you don't have any props at home, it's okay. Just have your diamond nice and big, cup your feet from underneath, tuck your chin into your chest, and release down into the pose. We'll be in this posture for about 5 minutes. And as you come into the pose, just allow for your mind to focus on trusting the universe, trusting that it has the power to manifest with precision a life of grandness if you allow it to, a life of peace if you allow it to. So trusting in the universe, trusting that law of manifestation. Go ahead and take a big breath in, and as you exhale, give yourself that time to surrender into the pose. Your mind does start to wander within the practice today. You can focus on your breath or focus on the law of manifestation. Maybe noticing the ways that the universe to the universe for that. Maybe focusing on things that you would like to bring into your awareness, bring into your life. Yogis, take a couple more breaths here, yogis and yoginis. Just a couple more breaths. Allowing those breaths to bring you back into the present time and space in case your consciousness drifted out. Next inhale, slowly begin to rise up. It's very normal to feel dizzy after you come out of that posture. Maybe see yoga fairies flying around as we come into those deep forward folds. Just take your time to ease out of the posture. Go ahead and sit with your legs crossed. For our counter pose, we'll move into a twist, a seated twist. As you inhale, lengthen up through your spine, and as you exhale, look over your right shoulder, twist to the right, bring your left hand onto your right knee. Continue to elongate, lengthening through your spine, feeling your sits bones rooted down into the ground. And getting as tall as you can through the crown of your head. This yoga practice is for easing anxiety. And one of the ways it works for me is to come into those deep forward folds. They help to calm the nervous system down, taking us out of flight, fight, collapse response. Bringing us into more of the rest and digest. So if you're feeling like you just want to scream or jump out of your skin or crawl into a hole, come into a deep forward fold like you were just in. It'll help to just calm the nerves down, release some of the anxiety. Go ahead and make your way back into center. And as you come into center, now root down through your sits bones, lengthen up through your spine. Twist over to the left. Bring your right hand onto your left knee. Gaze comes up and over your left shoulder. We call these our counter twists, or counter poses within the practice, just moving the spine in a different direction. So after your deep forward fold, finding a twist to alleviate that deep forward fold, finding a different direction for your spine. Here for just another couple of breaths. Make your way back into center. So we come into center, extend let's go ahead and actually come into a couple of seated cat and cows. So seated cat and cows, you can sit with your legs crossed, hands can come up onto your knees, and then inhale, lengthen up through your spine, and then exhale, round in, chin comes into your chest. You're pushing your back towards the wall behind you. Your hands are onto your knees and your arms straighten out. Go to inhale, lift your chest up, arch your back, pushing your chest through the gate of your arms. Your elbows can bend in and pull towards the wall behind you. There you go. Let's go ahead and do this for about another minute. So you can go your own breath, your own pace. Feeling very relaxed today, so I'm going to take it nice and slow. But you're more than welcome to go a little bit faster if you have some stagnant energy. We're approaching onto our halfway point here. We're going to keep flowing your cat and cow. A couple more times. This cat and cow going into our back bend and our forward bend. It just helps to balance the energy out. Hopefully your nerves are starting to calm down, that anxiety is slipping away, the energy is starting to feel more balanced. Go ahead and make your way back into center. Send your right leg out and to the outside, and then have your left leg in. We're finding about a 90-degree angle within our legs, moving into a half butterfly or Janu Shirshasana. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can come into this posture. You can do the traditional way where you look and turn towards your right leg. I got a little tongue twisted there. And I like to have my bolster underneath my right knee if I come into this in this type of class, because it just it's a little bit more gentle. It's gentler on your hamstrings. It's gentler as you're holding it. We will be holding this variation for 5 minutes. And so that can be a long time. So here's one way to come into it. And if you don't have a bolster, it's okay. Just use a big blanket or a pillow underneath of your leg. You can find some great bolsters on Amazon or your local yoga studio as well The other variation is to come down the midline and come into it this way. If you have a block available, you can put the block underneath your forehead, and you could also just release it all the way down. So choose the variation that's going to work for you. We'll start the clock now, holding this for 5 minutes. But know that if you do need to come out of the pose, that you're feeling pain or we're just holding it too long for your body, give yourself permission to come out. Our yin practice, we do the same postures whether you're beginner or advanced, but the more advanced, the more time that you spend on the mat with this practice, you hold the poses for a longer duration of time. So it might be, it might be a little bit too much if you're just beginning this practice or you're nurturing yourself. So always give yourself permission to come out, especially if you are feeling pain within the practice. So go ahead and settle into the pose, taking either one of the variations. About over your halfway point. Once again, if your mind wandered to somewhere that you would rather it not be, reconnect with your body, reconnect with your breath, reconnecting with that universal law of manifestation. Here for about another minute, yogis. rise up, coming up nice and slow. This is a great place to find a wild thing if you're feeling like you just need to open up your heart. We did a lot of forward folding. So if you want to open up your heart a little bit, root down your left hand to your left onto the ground at your left hip. Your right leg stays straightened. You're going to rise up onto the shin of your left leg. And then just stretch from fingertips to toes on the right side. Feeling luminous. And exhale, release it out. And go ahead and extend your opposite leg out now. Sending your left leg out, your right leg comes into your inseam. Having the leg once again at about a 90-degree angle. And choosing the same position on this side as you did on the first side. So if you did that Janu Shirshasana, where you came over your knee to your forehead to your knee, or you came down the midline, we call this half butterfly in our yin, Janu Shirshasana, and the more hatha and active practices. So sometimes I interchange those names a little bit, but either one, you can come right down the middle, whatever you did on the first side, or looking and turning towards your left leg and moving into it that way. And go ahead and settle back into your pose. And keeping your mind focused on what you want it to focus on. Noticing when it does carry away and go somewhere that's not serving you, that's not healthy, something that you're not consciously choosing or would consciously choose. And reining it back in. And sometimes our mind is like wild horses and it just runs wherever it wants to. Rein it back in, focusing on the things that you want to call into existence. Peace, balance, abundance. And letting that energy permeate every cell and every atom within your body until you become it. Your halfway point. And continue breathing, continue staying present. Please take a couple more breaths. Now for your next inhale to bring you up. Placing your right hand onto the ground at your right hip. And rise up onto your right shin. Pushing your hips up towards the sky, feeling that beautiful counter pose. And exhale, release it down. Now, our next pose that we'll move into is a heart opening posture. So we did a lot of forward folds and just that nurturing type of pose. Now we're going to open up the heart a little bit. This posture is called Anahastasana, melting heart. And you can use a pillow or a bolster for the posture if you like to make it a little bit more accessible. But by all means, you don't have to use it. To come into this pose, I'm going to demo it first with the bolster and then the modifications, and then I'll demo it without the modifications. All right, so with the modifications, you bring your knees directly underneath of your hips, and then have your bolster or your support, whatever it is, long ways in front of you, just elevating the ground a little bit more. And you'll put your chest directly down onto the bolster, place your right ear and right cheek down, and we'll be here for about a minute and a half. And then after that minute and a half, you can switch over to the second side. So the other option, without your bolster, a little bit deeper opening for your shoulders, a little bit deeper opening for the heart chakra, is to come onto your chest. You can have your chin onto your mat or your forehead down onto your mat, either one. But we'll be holding this one for 3 minutes, so choose your option, and I'll let you know when it's time to move into your second side if you choose to. If you're doing one arm at a time, if you're looking forward, go ahead and just mentally prepare yourself to move on to the second. And take a couple more breaths for that preparation. Now I invite you to go ahead and change your gaze, switching to the opposite direction. Placing now your left cheek and left ear onto your bolster if you're moving into a modified version. Even if this is thin stringers for your neck, you can always place your cheek onto the ground. We're moving into our last 30 seconds. to come out. Really come out nice and slow. We're moving into a passive child's pose. So take your time, be gentle on your body as you release out. In this passive child's pose, you can have your knees as close together or as far apart as you like. And bring your hands back by your ankles. This will just be a reprieve for your shoulders after that deep shoulder opening. Place your forehead, the tip of your nose down onto your mat. Child's pose is such a nurturing posture. We are feeling anxious. Yogis, bring your hands back forward. Root down through your hands and slowly push yourself up. Moving into our next pose. So child's pose is such a great posture to come into if you are feeling, those unpleasant feelings that we can have with anxiety. So it's always a great pose to come into if you just need to get grounded and get centered. Our next posture is called fire log, also known as double pigeon pose. So our double pigeon, you'll stack your first shin. I'm putting my left shin onto the bottom first and then flexing the toes in towards my knee. And both sits bones are anchored down. You bring your second leg on top and do the same thing. You flex your toes in towards the knee. This helps you protect the knee. For me, this is one of the harder postures for me to do. And just the external rotation of my hips is not all there. And sometimes it's bone structure, sometimes it can be more muscular, but you can always put something in between if you have a big gap here like I do. For some people, your legs will just naturally lay one on top of the other, and it looks quite peaceful and relaxing and just a great place to be. But if you do have a big gap like I do, you can always put something in between here to help support this leg a little bit. And if you are feeling a lot of spice here, stay more upright. If you're somebody that has the external rotation, meaning that your hips open up and the legs just lay really nice, you can even get more sensation by hinging forward some. It's going to turn up the spice within the pose. All right, let's go ahead and find that quiet space as we're here. Be here for about 4 minutes. If this is too much sensation, you could always extend your bottom leg out long too. Flexing the toes in, put something to prop your leg, and then hinge forward that way. So there's a lot of ways that you can come into this posture, even placing the sole of the foot onto the mat and the left knee up, and then coming into it this way. That will also be a great way to come into the pose if you need a little bit different variation for whatever reason. So have that freedom to experiment with different ways to come into postures, and finding the one that's right for you, finding what works in your body. Checking in with that sensation. If the sensation is getting stronger and it's come past an edge into pain, I encourage you to come out. If you're just feeling a lot of sensation though, breathe into that area. good, so good. You're almost there. Start to ease out of the posture. Come out nice and slow, releasing your right leg down. Maybe placing the soles of your feet onto your mat. We'll find a counter posture. If you want a gentle counter posture, you can windshield wipe your legs, going left and right, left and right. And we'll be in this counter posture for about a minute. The other option is to come into a reverse tabletop. So you have your feet rooted down onto your mat. Your hands back behind you, fingers point the same direction as your toes. Root down through your heels, and as you inhale, lift your hips up. And pushing down into your hands, pushing your heart up towards the sky. And we'll slowly begin to release it down. And coming back onto our glutes. Move into our second side of pigeon now. Our second side of double pigeon or fire log pose. So placing your right leg onto the bottom this time, your left leg comes onto the top. Once again, you can take any one of those variations. You can extend your right leg out rather, or placing the sole of the foot onto the mat, the right knee up and then coming into it. Should feel like a stretch or an opening on the left side here, so this is a variation. If you want the full effect, to go ahead and stack your legs. You might even notice that one side has a bigger gap than the other. Our body's pretty asymmetrical and not balanced on both sides. So yeah, we work to get the same sensation on both sides, creating balance. Once you're into the pose, and connect with your breath. This posture reminds me that, when things, because this is a more difficult pose for me and it might not be difficult for you, that when things do get fiery, because it's called fire log, and when things do get difficult, can I use my breath to center myself, to stay present and not activate those flight, fight, collapse responses that come up? Can I use my breath? Can I use my mind to allow myself to stay even through the discomfort? Can I use that breath to find comfort in the discomfort? Slowly begin to rise. And placing both soles of the feet onto the mat. Knees come up towards the sky. And choosing that counter posture of your choice. And take your time coming out of the poses. There's really no need to rush coming out. You can windshield wiper your legs going left and right, left and right. And now let's go ahead and find our reverse tabletop, where you can continue to windshield wiper your legs. Reverse tabletop, root down through your feet. And fingers are pointed same direction as your toes. Inhale, lift your hips up towards the sky. Feel the glutes activating and releasing the hip flexors up front. Couple more breaths. Release your glutes back down onto your mat. And we're moving into our happy baby pose variation. So place the soles of your feet onto your mat and then release back and down onto your back. Be gentle with your body as you release back and down. But then from here, finding a good position for the bun, right? And placing the back of your head, your neck onto your mat. Our variation for our happy baby is connecting our feet together in the air, making a diamond. It's very similar to our butterfly, but our butterfly on our back. Our knees are coming down towards the ground. And then just cup your hands around the pinky sides of your feet. Such a nice variation of happy baby. You can even rock from side to side if you feel that you need a little bit of movement. For me, this massages my low back. And stillness if that serves you well. Let's make our way into our full happy baby now. For full happy baby, you'll bring the soles of your feet up towards the sky and keep this nice bend within your knees down towards the earth. Grabbing onto your feet from the arch sides. I know some teachers say the outside. You can even grab it from the outsides if that works better for you. Have your thumb included into your grip. Gaze is down the midline of your body, lengthening through the back of your neck. Once again, you can rock from side to side if you need a little bit of movement, if that's feeling good in your body. Otherwise, just pull your knees down towards the ground. Our posture, when we're holding this without the rock, it's actually called dead bug. If that doesn't sound as nice as happy baby, so I like to call it happy baby, whether we're moving or stagnant. Give yourself this time to connect with that joy, the inner spirit. Yogis to come out. Go ahead and release the soles of your feet onto your mat. Knees come up towards the sky. But from here, cactus your arms. You bring your knees over to the right, your gaze comes over to the left for a supine. Bring your knees back to center. Bring your knees over to the left. Your gaze comes over to the right. Supine twist, second step. Bring your knees back to center. Make your way into your final Shavasana, letting your arms go long, your legs go long. Maybe even your heels touch and your toes follow them as you come into final Shavasana. Walking your shoulders flat down onto your mat. We spent this whole hour working up to our final Shavasana, so take this opportunity to get as comfortable as you can. You know, sometimes Shavasana seems like a waste of time, or there's other things that you could or should be doing. This is the most magical pose of our practice. It's the pose that ties it all together. It integrates every other pose into your body, your mind, your spirit. Give yourself the gift of Shavasana, even if you don't quite understand it yet. If your awareness drifted, go ahead and bring it back. I'm reading to you now the full description of our universal law of manifestation. This is once again out of the Universal Laws of Conscious Creation, Wisdom book. It says, this law states that all existence manifests intelligently from the internal to the external, from the invisible to the visible, from the formless to the form. Mind and essence are the internal attributes of the formless substance. These are expressed through you as your ability to think and to feel. The universe acts and moves intelligently to create your external reality from your internal world of thoughts and feelings. First, create the conditions you want within your thoughts and feelings. And then the universe will then be set into motion to create the situations and circumstances necessary to bring those conditions to fruition. This card is telling you it is important to know what your job is and what the universe's job is. Your job is to choose what you want to create. and to consciously entertain thoughts and feelings that harmonize with what you want. Once you have done this, let go. The universe will begin at once to draw to you what you need to realize, your ideal. Act when the opportunity presents themselves, and leave the rest up to the perfection of the universe. It is important to let go and trust, because the universe works in ways that we can never fully comprehend. How to harmonize with this law as we did today. Just contemplate on the sheer magnificence in a single snowflake. The universe can create such precise geometry and beauty in a single flake of snow. Surely you can trust it to orchestrate the events of your life with as much precision and perfection. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through your practice today. I'll leave you in Shavasana. You're more than welcome to come out whenever you're ready. If there's something that you have learned, I encourage you to go out and teach it to others. You never know who might need the wisdom and the insights that you have to offer. Namaste, sweet friends.